All righty, now this is much better. I hope that you can hear me. All right, I think this will be better. Right? Let's see. And we're black, right? Hey everybody, I had went live on the other channel. For whatever reason, I don't know, it switched on my laptop and I'm never on my laptop. But hey y'all, I haven't gone live in a couple of weeks, like 2 weeks, I think. The week before, not this week, not the weekend before, but the weekend before that, I was the keynote speaker at the Trans Equity Summit in Minneapolis, Minnesota. A summit that is created by the one and only um, Andrea Jenkins, Congresswoman, City Councilwoman, Andrea Jenkins. And she invited me out there, and it was an amazing experience. I loved it, loved it, loved it. That was the weekend before last weekend. And then last weekend, I went on an amazing retreat called the Empower Her Retreat, where I was able to fellowship with 12 cis and trans women in resting and relaxing and fellowshipping and having amazing, inclusive, sisterly conversations about love, joy, pride, and sisterhood. It was like, oh, and so it's been really, really amazing. And we were in Hawaii. We were able to eat an amazing dinner, be on the beach, and really just be amongst other Black femmes and, create content that is beautiful. And I can't wait to share it with y'all. It will be up for my members. I will be putting it out on the podcast probably in October while we are on break, but the videos will be up for the member section once I edit them. They will be up in that section. They won't be public yet. I'll make them public probably next year because I'm there for a project, but I wanted to share it with y'all before anybody gets it. But they're for another project. So I can't wait for y'all to see those. Also, this weekend that just passed, I mean, not Monday, this Monday that just passed, my film, I told y'all that I was brought on to associate produce a film that revolved around cisgender men and Black trans women, Black cisgender men, heterosexual cisgender men, and Black trans women, and brought them together to talk about anti-trans violence and toxic masculinity, and why y'all hoes killing us, those type of things. And the film got picked up by a LGBT film festival in Atlanta called Out on Film, and that is going on through now, the 26th through October the 2nd. Here is the link to that. If you are in Atlanta, make sure you go check that out. There is a streaming online link in that link, so you can check it out. And vote for us, please. Yeah, so it is quite a busy, 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 busy time. In about 2 weeks, I will be. Tomorrow, I'll go to Texas something. Let me see what it's called. If you are activist in Texas, I probably will see you there. Um, it is tomorrow. It is the Equality Brunch, Texas Equality, presented by Senator John Whitmire. And I will be at that brunch in the morning. If you are there, you will see me. Um, so, yeah. Anyway, that's what's going on in my life and why I haven't been able to go live. But I am glad to be back and seeing y'all. Y'all see my little tan. This is my version of dark skin, aka not. But this is the tannest I get, honey. I be trying to get a little more tanner. But you know I like to be the bronze goddess. But yes. How have y'all been doing? Brandon, yeah, I love to see your blue. Day Day, them biddies, definitely tigging. Yes, you know what's crazy? I don't know. Y'all can't tell because I'm sitting down, but because when I lose weight in this area. But I've lost like 40 pounds because I've been hitting the gym July, since July 1st. And so I've really been hitting the gym. Y'all see this little muscle right there? Honey, I'm getting buff, my nigga. About to throw them bows on nigga. But yeah, I've been hitting the gym and lifting weights. And I've lost 40, literally lost 40 pounds. I was three something, now I'm under 300. Yay! So yeah, I've been on a journey. Hey Diamond. Hey JJ. Hey Marissa. Hey, a little bit of everything. Is that? I think that's how you say it. A little bit of everything. Hey, who else? Hey, Bougie. Is that Bougie? You Coco, right? Ain't that Coco? Who else? Money. Hey, Money. Hey, Ty. Jiggle Jello, baby. CL. Hey, Miss Poke, darling. I am. I hate for this is I'm so reluctant about giving men my number nowadays because it always every time I give somebody my number, it always turns into some bullshit. So one thing that I really, really hate, I hate for people to be I love intelligent people, but I hate for people to when they're anybody who dates men, you probably have experienced this. You know how when you are talking to an African, when they talk to you, they are very Shakespearean. Like, and you can tell, even no matter if they don't look African, whatever, you can tell by how they talk to you that they're African based on how they, put their words together, all however they convey the English language, you can tell that they're African because they're either very, very verbose or I call it Shakespearean. Like it's like almost like they're trying to be poetic. Like they're trying like they are yes, they use deer a lot. They are it's just a lot of extra shit that American men don't do. And I don't like it. Some other people might like it, but I don't like it because it feels quite unnecessarily extra. But I know somebody understand what I'm talking about. It's not about how so you know how everybody try to act like, oh, just because I speak proper. It's not about proper, it's how you actually use the English language. I can tell that you're not from here because you use it in the way that is too formal. If you were from here, it would be formal. Baby, you are the moon in the winter sky of my heart. Yes, exactly. It's always poetic, romantic. Um, I call it Shakespearean because it's very girl, get out of here. Anyway, sometimes you run across dudes that are like that, and it's quite it annoys me. Like, let me give you a perfect example. So I gave this dude my number. I thought he was cute, handsome, you know, whatever. So I say, so he says hi. I say hi. How are you? He says, I'm great, having the best day of my life. And you? Okay, that's a positive response. We still in the good area. You know what I'm saying? Nothing is too much yet. That still is it's extra, but it's like, oh, cute. You're having a great day. He says, I'm having the best day of my life. And you? I say, oh, lucky you. My day is good. It's not the best day of my life, but you know, it's good. What's happening in your life that makes it so great? And he says, no matter how hard you and I try. Now, this is the beginning of the conversation. He says, no matter how hard you and I try, we cannot get yesterday back, nor do you or I know if we will get tomorrow. So today is the best day of my life. And if I see tomorrow, it becomes the new best day of my life. This shit annoys me. Why do you gotta give all that? But at this point, it's kind of silly, but I haven't got annoyed to the point where I don't want to talk. You know what I'm saying? This is the first iteration of the foolishness. And so I say, oh, okay, amen, word. I'm like, okay, word. Good for you. And he says, oh man, I'm driving. He says, can you, oh, in between when I say good for you, he calls me. One thing I hate is if I don't invite you to call me, don't call me. We texting right now. So when this was going on, I was in there getting my nails done. I told my nail tech to give me cow nails. Aren't they pretty? They're supposed to look like a cow. And they are dope. I really like them. Because the banquet tomorrow, I'm gonna have a brown, pretty gown on, and these are cute. You have to block immediately every time. So he calls me, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not available to talk, so don't call me. Text." And he says, "All right, well, sign me up for the next time you're available, um, so I can give you my undivided attention." And I say, "Okay, do you have?" I was like, "Sure, I'll do that. Do you have any more pictures?" And he says he sends me 3 pictures, and you know, he looks handsome and he has this bald head that looks so sexy. And I'm like, ooh, you look cute. So I'm this is me giving you a chance because you already done gave me too much extra. And I'm looking past that. Send me some pictures, honey. And so he sent me some pictures. He looking cute, bald head. And so I say M, capital M. I like that bald head. So I'm trying to be flirty and open, let you know I'm feeling you. You look good. I say, I like that bald head. He says, that's great. Depending on how much you should create a lifestyle that strongly supports that. What? I simply said, I like that bald head. He says, great. Depending on how much you should create a lifestyle that strongly supports that. The fuck does that mean? So I ignore it and I'm over it. So I go back to talking to my I have no idea what he's talking about. I go back to talking to my nail tech lady and so I stopped talking because I'm over it. Not maybe we can talk later. I'm not to the point where we're blocking. I'm like, okay, let me focus on my nails. And talk to my nail tech. And so he hits me up maybe like 15 minutes later and says, what happened to you, sexy? You got quiet on me. You got a very nice sex appeal about yourself. Because when he first sent me the number, I sent him some pictures of me looking delicious, eat me up. And so I say, when he said you got a very nice little sex appeal about yourself, I say, sweetie, you talk in riddles, and that is draining. That's not a pleasurable conversation for me. That's draining me. And he was like, oh man, I didn't mean to do that. We are texting. Maybe if we talk, you would understand me better. There are no riddles. I say, let me explain to you what a riddle is. I said, I like your bald head. And your response was, great, depending on how much you create a lifestyle that strongly supports that. And he was like, oh, that just meant you can come and rub on it as much as you want. I said, no, that's a riddle. And that's not what the fuck that meant. Why not just say, thanks, come rub on it? Simple. No need to decipher anything. Just say, thanks, come rub on my bald head. That would have been cute. And I would have said, I want to rub on more than that. And we could, you know what I'm saying? It leads down the road of possibility. But this fucking riddle bullshit that I'm supposed to decipher what the fuck you talking about. This leads down to silence, the road of silence, and I'm done with you. And he was like, and I say, this is how you should have said it. Simple, very simple. There would be no need to decipher that. All right. So he says, yeah, that's how you would do it. I respect that, but that's not me. So now you're getting cute. So now you're getting cute. Instead of taking my advice, you want to have a smart mouth. Also a wrong turn. Also a wrong turn. He was like, so what time are you coming to rub on it? But now you done piss me off because you're getting cute. I say, I'm not asking you to do it like me. I'm asking you to be clear, relevant, and concise. But never mind. But never mind, baby. Don't worry. Let me show you what clear, relevant, and concise is. I'm not interested anymore. I don't want to talk. Have a great day. And ever since then, long, 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 long. Look, I'm not responding. Just long, long foolery. Long foolery. And so now I have to block you. Now you're sending me messages. And I hate that I didn't even get to see what the dick is looking like. Because he's so chocolatey and cute and fun. Y'all will fuck up a moment for yourselves. Like I was ready to invite you over. The house is lovely. I'm ready for you to, ready for some gentlemen callers. And you was looking like something I wanted to try out. And you talked yourself out of it. Rude, 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 rude. Oh, also this is what he said. And I hate when people make it seem like it's about something else when it's not about that. He says, wow, you really not gonna talk to me? I'm sorry. I'm very intelligent and speak my mind and don't sound like no thug. I was just trying to have some finesse about how I talk to you. Are you just going to judge me and stop talking because you were wrong? Well, maybe even narcissistic. It sounds like I dodged a bullet. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like I dodged a bullet. Thank the Lord. Right. Like I ain't got the intelligence to understand your foolishness. No, nigga, you talking like you on um Batman and the Riddler is the villain and you his understudy. And I ain't got time for deciphering that bullshit. All right, y'all. So it's 22 minutes. Okay, so let's see what's going on. So y'all watched the Dahmer series? And please don't get in these motherfucking comments talking about, oh, I don't watch stuff like that. And I don't care. I hate when people get to talk and trying to be woker than thou. And you can tell that they haven't watched it because they're talking about why are y'all centering or what and blah 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 blah. If you watch the show, it actually is centering his victims, the black ones. It actually is quite remarkably sharing the intimate experiences of the families, the black and brown families that Dahmer affected. It also is centering the victims. Like, yes, Dahmer is the killer. That's the tantalizing hook to get you there. But Ryan Murphy brilliantly, brilliantly is showing you how it affected the victims and the people around the victims, from the how do you say that, Loation family to the Deaf Boys family. So many things. It is so good. I freaking love it. It's so good. Now I'm somebody who likes, I watch documentaries about serial killers. I'm I'm at episode 5. I just got finished with episode 6. I had to take a break after that. Episode 6 is like, woo! It kind of, the rest of them, everybody was like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. They didn't do nothing to me. Episode 6, episode 6 kind of pulled on at my heartstrings. It was a little heavy. I was like, oh, first of all, they got him looking like a freaking snack. First of all, they picked somebody a little thicker than the actual one. And he looking like that last little rib. Mmm, he looking delicious and a little thicker and ooh, looking like my type. If you want to know my type, the main character in the victim in episode 6 is my type. Everything about him. But yes, episode 6 was hard. So Basically, let's talk about the basics of the series. This is a series about Jeffrey Dahmer, the notorious killer of the 90s, very popular. Um, his victims usually were black gay men, but there were brown ones. And there were some white ones early on because that's what he was exposed to, um, because he was in a middle class family, from what I'm to understand, middle class neighborhood. And so he was exposed to the white boys at first, but then he intentionally moved to a neighborhood that was black and brown because he could find victims that motherfuckers don't care about, black, brown, and gay. And anybody know what was going on in the um, early 90s? You know, if you watch polls, you know, this was smack dab at the, the last quarter of the AIDS epidemic. Um, yeah, so that's the basics. Um, I I find it quite interesting. It's hindsight is always 2020. It's always a little bit more clear. And as somebody who grew up in the 90s, smack dab in the 90s, hot and in the Midwest at this time, the Dahmer story was the Dahmer story added to, I'm saying added to because it was already there. He just added to the fodder. He just added to the toxicity of the image of gay men. There was already this toxicity because of HIV, because of AIDS, because um, it was the height in political. It was the height of the political time of queer people when it was. So we know that Stonewall happened in the 60s, right when the civil rights movement, but it was kind of overshadowed. Like what was going on in the sexual liberation was kind of overshadowed by the civil rights movement. One of the reasons that I think that is because civil rights was about skin color. Okay, civil rights was about something that could not be hidden. You can't hide that you're black unless you're a person that can pass for white, but most of us can't. And so our oppression was obvious, it was clear, it was more pressing. Whereas queerness, a lot of people were able to hide their queerness, particularly, white people. So black people were black people as a whole were already at a socioeconomic um second citizenship. Like they were already down here. They were redlining and putting us in ghettos and not giving us access to education. So we were already on a lower level socioeconomically. You feel what I'm saying? So the people, when it comes to queerness, I know that black people were experiencing all of these intersectionality. We were experiencing all of these things at once. But when it comes to queerness, white queers during civil rights time, 60s, 70s, 80s, because they were not getting access to the high level of what white people, the spoils of whiteness, queer people were being pushed out of sickening jobs. White queer people. And so they were getting the effects of black people in the sense of, oh my God, we're getting kicked out of our big paying jobs. We're not getting the job because we're queer. We're getting deranked in the military. We are getting treated like black people. Oh my God, how dare you? What? Am I a nigga? That's what you do to them, not me. I'm white. So this is one of the first times that they're feeling that minority sting. They used to be able to, just be white. But if they're trying to be white and queer, that stuff would really, really stop them from getting up into these privileged spaces. Okay, because the homophobia was at such a heightened place. It's still like this. I'm talking about something different. It is like this on a smaller context, but there is a difference between the level of homophobia back in the 60s and the 70s and the level of homophobia now. Yes, white gay people can experience homophobia, but they are not. We have come a long way from the homophobia of the 60s compared to the homophobia of 2022. It is two different levels of homophobia. They were getting pushed out of things very directly and very harshly in the 60s, 70s. They were doing commercials telling the kids that the gay men were trying to molest them. We're trying to molest them. Commercials. Gay men was a sickness, and they were trying to molest your children and catch them and get them in the bathroom and get them on TV. So it's just a different level. And so they were seeing the harshness of it. And so it pushed more of them to be closeted. But black people can't be closeted. Do you see what I'm saying? Our skin lets you know that we black. So the blackness was just a more obvious fight. And so it kind of overshadowed what was happening on the sexual social level. So fast forward to 20 years, black people come so far, fast forward from the 60s to the 80s. There's a big difference between the 60s and the 80s for black people. We start getting the black bourgeoisie, even though we had it, back in the day, but it's starting to be more. The wage gap socioeconomically started to be a little bit smaller when it comes to whiteness. The black people were becoming executives, they were becoming millionaires. Look, this is the rise of Oprah. This is the rise of the pop stars. This is the rise, think about the 80s, Michael Jackson, Prince, Whitney. We had our token people like couple of the Motown people, Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, da 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 da. But they were a cluster of people. Now we're having like booms, and we got Fashion Fair. We got what's his name? The Johnson guy who owned Ebony. You got these, hair care products booming. We got people kind of coming up in the business area in all sectors that are black, and it's changing. They're moving to suburbs. Bob Johnson, yes, I said it in my brain, but I was like, was it Bob? Why does that sound like it's wrong? But okay, yeah, Bob Johnson. so we're coming into this time where there's starting to be a separation. Susan Taylor, yes, the one who shut down Tracy Africa's Essence Essence photo shoot when the Butch Queen told Tracy Africa's tea. Susan Taylor was the person. She wasn't the editor in chief of Essence yet. She was something where she was like she was the one who would be on the photo shoots, like the artistic director, and she was the one who stopped Tracy Africa's photo shoot because she was trans. Clock that. It's strange for me to grow up and see her with the braids going to the back and really admiring her as a black woman, and then learning that she was evil about transness. Anyway, that's a whole nother time and a whole nother story. Anyway, so socioeconomically, it started to be a chasm. Black folks all used to be in the same little spot when it come to be socioeconomically. But when you get to the 80s and the 90s, there started to be a chasm between the poor black people and the middle class black people. It started to be a space between these people. You feel what I'm saying? And so that is starting to look more and more like the white society. There's an upper class white and a lower class white. You got white trash and da da da. So oh, we got black trash and and some bougie, the good blacks. Da da da. It's starting to mimic whiteness in a whole different way. And I'm giving you this context so I can explain something a little bit later. And so during this time, late 80s, early 90s, the gay people are no longer, they're tired of being quiet. They're tired of hiding and being a certain way and not being able to be free. And this AIDS epidemic is forcing them because they're seeing their people die. They're seeing their people, they're seeing how, excuse me, the church is responding to it. They're seeing how the government, Ronald Reagan, is responding to it. Bush, the daddy Bush, they're seeing how everybody is responding to it and not doing it with compassion and being shady. So it really galvanized gay people not only to be open about their queerness, no longer was it chic or popular to not be out the closet. You get what I'm saying? It actually used to be cute and safe in the, um, understand this context because I want to talk about something a little bit deeper later on. Understand the context. So during 60s, 70s, 80s, it actually was kind of like this is the norm. You be closeted. We have our little gatherings at home where we can be queens, but when we go to work, this is the etiquette of being gay, the acceptable etiquette of being queer. You do same thing with trans people. Remember that you don't tell people that you're gay. You don't be flouncing and da 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 da. You go to work, do your thing, and you do that at home. Everybody don't need to know your business. It was a safety in it, and it was culturally for us, not the bigger culture, but the subculture. It was culturally acceptable for us to do that. When we get into the 90s, that stopped being cute. It started to shift. We started to look more, while we understood it, we started to look more down at people who were hiding their queerness. Why it stopped being acceptable. Not look down at you with like we don't understand you, but like we're in a new era. We should be proud of what we are. It started to be pride on a whole other level. And AIDS kind of that fight against AIDS and HIV kind of brought people together and gave them pride in a way that shifted the culture around. Sounds like respectability politics. Yes, there was a shift in respectability politics. Um, there was a shift, and so when we start to see this back, so we know they needed that kind of shift in how they thought about themselves, queer people, um, because there was this backlash. There was a narrative and backlash around, you know, this is not that they hadn't been saying that, but because there's this big major issue happening, them saying it was being bullhorned. Like for example, they've been saying that gay people going to hell for forever. But because of this AIDS epidemic, now anybody who wants to say this is the punishment, see, we told y'all they got a bullhorn. It's loud. It's like, see, this is the punishment for y'all being gay. So now it's becoming this loud narrative, public narrative, not just in the church, not just in the home. It's actually being said on television. It's actually being expressed loudly. And so there has to be a response to that. It has to be gay people saying, no, you got us fucked up. Stop being hypocrites. Y'all do shit too. This ain't got shit to do with fucking God and punishment and blah, blah, blah. Because if that was the case, y'all wouldn't be getting either. Straight people getting it too. Blah, 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 blah. So there had to be a social reckoning that happened, right? But because of that lashing out, there was a culture of demonizing gay people. Because if you pay attention to motherfuckers, how they were talking about queer people in the 60s and 70s, it's almost was like this. We don't know anybody like this. We don't. This it's like this clandestine idea that they're coming out of the dark and blue and boo and scaring you like you don't know what they look like, and this is how they used to talk on the commercials. You never know who they are, and blah 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 blah. There was like this. It was so pushed down in the subculture that there was nobody talking about it on the level of the way they were in the 80s and the 90s. Now it's coming to because of fashion, because of celebrity, certain queer celebrities being out. When we think about RuPaul, this is the beginning of RuPaul's career. When we think about Culture Club, Boy George, when we think about just all these kind of, even in the black community, this is, this is the Luthers, where in the Princes, we in the 80s and the 90s, we like, where they're not your typical they're contrasting to this thug image that hip hop is giving. It's something is happening when it comes to queerness. There's a shift in cultural understanding, and they have to do something to combat it, the opposite end. So there was this narrative against gay men in particular. And because it was a cultural narrative, in my mind, this is my theory. In the 90s, there was an uptick in serial killers who targeted gay men. When we think about Dahmer, when we think about, in the same way, in the 70s, there was an uptick in serial killers who was fucking targeting young college girl women. Ted Bundy. There was a couple of them that was targeting college girls. But in the 90s, we had Ted, we had Herb. The fuck is his name? I can't pronounce it. He's from Indianapolis. If you Google serial killer in Indiana who targeted gay men on Google, it'll pull up. His name is Herb, Herb, and it starts with a B, like Boozerman, Herb Boozerman. The clown guy is John Wayne Gacy, and that was in the 70s. That was in the 70s. That was a little. He was before his time. And he was targeting young boys because they were working for him, and it was more accessible. I don't really think. Yes, Herb Baumeister, whatever his name. And then there was a killer by the name of Ronald something. There was a killer in the late 90s, early 2000s by the name of Ronald that was targeting gay men in Louisiana. Yes, and they found gay men buried in Herb's yard in Noble. I think it was Noblesville, Indiana. Now I'm from Indianapolis. So I want you to understand what I'm growing up in. I'm growing up in AIDS epidemic. I'm growing up with a serial killer on the loose in my area. I'm from Indianapolis. Jeffrey Dahmer was in further up north in Milwaukee. And when I moved to Mississippi, that's when the old boy was killing the gay people in Louisiana, Jackson, Mississippi. When I was in Jackson, Mississippi, he was killing the gay people in Indiana, the gay boys. So I think, this is my own theory, I think because of the culture of demonizing gay men, it creates for people who are fucking susceptible to this mental, whatever the fuck that make them serial killers. I think the culture lends itself to put them on a path to targeting gay men. Because the culture is indicating that these type of people are deviant, these type of people we don't really need to care about, because if the bigger culture doesn't care about them, I as an individual don't need to care about them or have any remorse about them. And so, who is the perfect victim that nobody will give a fuck about? It's gonna be, if you on a social level, on a so on a social level, they are, I feel like they can pick queer people. They were LGBT too. That's debatable. Some of them. Some, I don't think some are. I think some are opportunists. I think that's a difficult that's a difficult when we talk about the fluidity of sexuality and what people identify as a trans woman who defends cishet men who dates trans women, not identifying with being queer. It's hard for me to, some of them, some of those killers don't identify with being gay. S- Uh, in under other circumstances, other people's minds, yes. But there's a lot of men who don't identify with being queer. And so it's something, it's really difficult for me to nail it. Yes, they were LGBT too. It's hard for me to do that. I understand when other people do it, but it's hard for me to do it because I understand that sometimes it's not about I'm attracted to men or I'm attracted to the same sex. It's just that I'm so far fetched in my deviance, because we're talking about I'm being turned on by killing motherfuckers. It's hard, it's hard for me to totally, it's hard for me to totally totally run with. And I don't think John Wayne Gacy was gay. I think John Wayne Gacy was bisexual, because John Wayne Gacy, when they looked at pictures in his when they found pictures in his house of people tied up and everything, it wasn't just men, it was women too. Like pictures, his victim, there was a lot of boys. I think a lot of the reason why it was a lot of boys that he was, who were his victims, is because he had easy, because he owned a construction company, and he could hire young men for summer work and da da da. They were easily accessible than girls. Um, but when they found his stash of pictures, it wasn't just girls. It wasn't just boys either. It wasn't in his, in what he found to be sexy. It wasn't just boys, and you know what I'm saying. Of course, he had children, and that doesn't mean that you're not gay. But I think that there was a bisexuality in him. I don't want to erase bi people in the conversation when we're labeling people, because he did have relationships with women, and in even in his secret stash of pictures and pornography, there were women tied up, like he would, like the boys were tied up, and he would take pictures of girls, and that was a part of his thing too. So mm, so yeah, it's hard for me to, when we're in this arena, it's hard for me to I do think I would say Dahmer was gay. I would say Dahmer was gay. Like, it would be easy for me to say him, because none of his victims was girls. There was no indication that he was into girls. There was nothing about girls in his history. If I would think Dahmer, I would think I could easily say he gay. Anyway, but somebody recently just said, yeah, like Shonette just said, it's not always black and white. Totally agree. It's not always black and white because sexuality is fluid and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so when it comes to Dahmer, when it comes to my theory is that because of the socio-political culture demonizing gay men, it caused an uptick in them being the victims. And and like I said, this is a theory of mine. Fast forward to 2015 on to now. Culturally, trans women are being demonized by the right. There is a lot of negative, loud cultural talk about trans women, trans people that was not happening before 2015. It was still a subculture. But now that we are coming out of the shadows and being more visible, being more vocal, there is a cultural backlash against us. And we have seen an uptick in the murders of trans women all over the country. And it would not surprise me if when if in 10, 20 years we will be talking about a serial killer that was targeting trans people when they find one. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes we don't know about shit until a decade or so after. It would not surprise me if we are old enough to quote me on, we are old enough 20 years from now, quote me. It would be it would not surprise me at all if there wasn't an active serial killer, which people have speculated that there are active serial killers all the time. We're just not catching them. It would not surprise me if there weren't active serial killers of trans people because trans murders have gone up every year since 2015. And the first time that transgender specifically was discussed on a socio-political level was 2016. Is the first time that it ever was talked about. Because before that, the litmus test to whether you was for the LGBT people was, what did they always ask people? What do you think about gay marriage? That was the litmus test. Anytime you were a politician and you were running for office, how people figured out if you were down for the LGBT, they would ask you, what is your stance on gay marriage? But once gay marriage passed in 2015, what's the next big thing? Trans rights. That's why we see this uptick in bathroom bills, in the bathroom conversation. And then when we get to 2016 with Hillary and Donald, first time we had a trans person on the stage, a senator, talking about our specific issue, not just LGBTQ, LGBT, actual transgender issues specifically. It's the first time we see it, and it just becomes this issue. And so now the litmus test is, what do you think about trans people on a political level? And so we are seeing an uptick in that. And I thought it was quite interesting that these things are repeating themselves in the same way. Even remember, so that uptick in our murders based on the new rise in thoughts and the force for and against trans people, we're seeing an uptick in our murders. Also, we are also seeing a difference in view about your transness, just like a difference in view happened about being gay. I talked about it stopped being cute for you to be in a closet. It stopped being cute. it is stopping being cute for us to focus on passability in the way that we are, because that centers cisgender people as the standard and not us as the standard. Like, it makes them be the standard. While some people, like myself, is okay with the gender binary, but it's starting to be out of vogue. It's starting to be out of, and rightfully so. I think that if we focus less on the gender binary, people could be more free in how they express themselves, and that frees not only trans people from that foolishness, but it also frees cisgender people from that foolishness too. But we are coming into this shift in how we think about ourselves and how free we can be in regards to our expression, in regards to our identity. Same thing that was happening to the queers in the early 90s, 30 years ago. Make sense? I think it does. It's just theory. What else idea has this show brought up to me? I know people don't like to humanize serial killers. Like, when we are retelling the story of people who do harm, um, people don't like that, but I kind of do. I think things are a little bit more complicated. It's not about me liking, it's about me knowing that existing can be complicated. Um, Episode 6, especially when you are doing something that is harmful, like drugs, when you're doing something harmful, like killing people, when you're doing something harmful, like raping people, when you're doing things that are deviant and harmful to community, and when you're doing those things, it can be painful. It can be complicated. It can be um, hard to just simplify as, oh, they're just evil. They're just evil. It can be easy for people to do that, but it is a little bit more complicated than that. One of the things that really points out the complication has nothing to do with Jeffrey Dahmer, but it was Eldridge Cleaver's Soul on Ice. Do y'all remember that? So let me find it. So one of the things that Eldridge Cleaver is somebody that is a part of the Black Panthers, and he he was one of the people, just one of, like, the big wigs. Hold on, I'm trying to find this one for you. Hmm. So I can quote it right. I don't want to not quote it. I don't want to not quote it right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, this is. I think this is perfect. This is perfect. This is perfect. So, Eldridge Cleaver, he was a part of the Black Panther Party. He was one of. He was a rapist, and while he was in prison for sexual assault, he wrote a book where he was um, very, very honest about raping Black women and white women. Very, very honest because misogyny was so crazy, crazy popular. And the oppression of women was so heavy during this time that it actually gave him room to be honest about his experience with starting raping Black women to move on to raping white women and how he coveted white women because of the social standings of all of them. Let me read one of his quotes from his book, Cleaver, and how complicated, not complicated as in to justify it, but it's a complicated state of being, not to justify it at all. Cleaver writes, rape was a insurrectionary act. It was the most satisfying to me because I was very resentful over the historical fact that how the white man has used Black women. I felt like I was getting revenge. In this way, Cleaver begins to see raping white women as a way to violently attack white supremacy and power. He asserts a difference between sex and rape in order to make his desire a meaningful act of resistance rather than a betrayal of his community. It is no longer that he desires white over Black, it is that he is using it to rape to gain liberation through raping. He recounts an instance in prison where he had in the book he had an instance where he had a white pinup girl on his wall on his cell, and the guard tore it down, telling Cleaver that he would only allow him to keep pictures of Black women. But then Cleaver, on the subject of the pinup girl, writes, the disturbing part about the whole incident was that there was a terrible feeling of guilt that came over me as I realized that I had chosen the picture of the white girl over the available pictures of Black girls. He goes on to ask himself, was it true? Did I really prefer white girls over Black girls? And then he concluded, yes, I did. Because of where they stood socially. They were the tantalizing thing, they were the taboo thing. Black girls were just Black girls. I could have access to them. It is this tabooness of this. This is his coveted trophy. He says, all our lives, us as Black men, we have had white women dangled before our eyes like a carrot on a stick before a donkey. Look, but don't touch. He goes on to connect this insight to the indoctrination of the white racial standard of beauty. Now, while this is hard to listen to, and we like, oh, you're a fucking, we can easily dismiss it as, oh, you're a coon, oh, you don't love yourself, and da 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 da. But everything he is talking about, we are combating to this day. When we talk about the self-esteem within ourselves, about our hair, about our skin colors, about how we treat dark-skinned people, how we treat Black people in general, with how every fucking woman that becomes famous got to get a fucking nose job to make her nose smaller. We literally, what the reasons he's giving you, his reasons, his behaviors are the reasons that we have do most of the shit that we do that we're combating right now. He has the same exact reasons, except it's coming out in behaviors that are toxic as fuck, like extreme raping. Do you see what I'm saying? Like he is raping people, which is not okay on any level. But the reason that he is explaining to you why it's happening, while as complicated as it is, this makes total sense. Right? That makes total sense. I'm a man, I'm a visual person. They are always seen as this the hallmark of beauty and femininity. Socially, they are trying to make themselves be better than me as far as white men. And so the ultimate prize is for me to get a white woman on an intimate and sexual level. This makes total sense. This is not something that sounds like rocket science. Because multiple things can happen. It could be a guy could be a person who does the total opposite. When we think, remember on this is why I thought School Days was so brilliant. There could be men who could do the total opposite, but for the exact same reasons. Remember on School Days when the dark-skinned girl was calling out Lawrence Fishburne, and she was like, you only fuck with me because I'm one of the darkest sisters in the thing. And it makes you look more woke. It makes you look more like you that pro-black nigga. That's why you picked the darkest bitch on the fucking campus, because the image that you want to portray. You want to portray a pro-black, anti-white image. So of course you gonna pick the darkest chick on campus. That's the only reason why you fuck me. That don't mean fuck with me. That don't mean you really fucking love me. Do y'all remember that scene? Or am I aging myself? There are people who go to the extremes the opposite way. I talked about that when it comes to me and dark-skinned men. Now, I've only dated dark-skinned men in my life, except for one guy in high school, Eric. He was light. But in my adult life, I have only been with dark-skinned men. When I was younger and I was, playing with girlfriends, only had dark-skinned girlfriends. Whatever reason. But when I got older and I thought about and I've talked about this before, and I thought about why I was so infatuated with dark-skinned men, it is rooted in inappropriate ideas about colorism. My colorism just does not show up in me hating dark-skinned girls, because I don't date girls. So it doesn't really show up in that sense. Because I date boys, I associated dark skin with masculinity. So I'm going to pick and light skinned boys with femininity. And so when it comes to girls, when it comes to who I liked, when it comes to boys, I'm going to pick the dark skinned boy, because they're going to be the hood, the most masculine. I don't even want you to have curly hair. I want you to have kinky hair. So I want you to be the opposite of what I deem as feminine. So if I'm doing this consciously, okay, we talk about me. I'm not talking about nobody. Talk about me. If I'm doing this consciously, if I'm consciously saying I am picking the darkest, most kinky hair, big nose, big lip, because that's what I associate with masculinity. How does that translate in how I think about women? Subconsciously. That's something that you have within yourself. And I'm bearing this out to y'all. This is something that I had to work out within myself and dismantle within me, because it don't just show up easy breezy. It don't just show up like, oh, this is easy to dismantle. Sometimes it shows up colorism or whatever you're trying to dismantle, misogyny. It might not be coming in some obvious way. Because I'm not running. I wasn't in my mama uh, taught me, um, you love your skin. You don't talk about, my mama was a brown girl. So how she taught me about colorism was, it's negative to think you better than people because you're light skinned. But this is how it's showing up. This is how it's showing up in my relationships. And how does that relate to to what I think about beauty when it comes to women? And so you have to think about, no, I'm not running around calling people tar babies and those typical obvious ways, but how is it showing up? How is colorism showing up in your life? And you have to be willing to examine it and not say, oh, I don't have to worry about that. You have to examine it. If you want to dismantle it in yourself, you have to examine it. And it's not as easily black and white. It gets complicated. You have to examine it to dismantle it. You have to be real. You can't be in denial about it. And so I say all of that when I talk about the Eldridge Cleaver being a rapist for the reasons that we talk. He just went to a more extreme toxic behavior. And I think in these Dahmer serial killer ways, that's what I mean. It's not about humanizing them. It's about complicating the idea of they're just evil. Complicating the idea of um they're alien. This is not an alien. This is a human being that lives in this world. How did this world create this human being to be here? What in our world, what in our world allowed this to fester? What circumstances, what cultural um downfall in our humanity led this person to be here? What happened? Yes, there might be some natural chemical imbalance, some natural um things that's fucked up in this person, but there are also cultural markers that leads to these people being like this too. And I think making them seem like alien or like unrelatable, like, oh, that's just that one type of person. No, we create these people, serial rapists and serial killers and people. The culture creates them. I think when they were kids, they were just like us, but something happened, something shifted, and they just didn't handle it in the right way. They had something to steer them in another direction. But if you have a parent, if you have, and it's not necessarily the parent, but it could be anything. Something can lead them down this path, and it just overwhelms them. And I don't think showing that humanity. I actually think the part of that is beautiful. It's a situation that can show you this could be anybody in the right circumstances. And I think that's anything of anybody who does these kind of crazy, wild things that everybody was like, "Oh, why did you do that?" When we think about those people who do suicides, um, when we think about suicides, when we think about shooting up schools, when we think about, I'm telling y'all, when I was in high school and when I was in my first year of college, trust and believe, I was one of them people who fantasized about shooting up that motherfucking school. And if I don't know what the circumstances could have been to make me do it, but I know I fantasized about it. I know I fantasized about it. I know, um, and not just one. There was multiple times when I was in high school, I was like, especially when Columbine happened, I was like, these motherfuckers, they want to make it seem like these people are evil because they went and killed innocent people. But then it revealed that everybody was bullying them and being shady to them, and nobody was helping them. Yeah, you can call them evil, but as somebody who has been bullied and who has been harmed and teased to the brink of twirling and to the brink of anger, to the brink of stabbing somebody in their fucking neck. I literally got expelled from junior high because of this, because I stabbed a girl in her fucking neck. As somebody who has reached the brink. If I had a gun, boop, 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 boop. I just didn't have access to guns. But I, as somebody who has gotten to that point, that could have been me. It's just, and it's not because I'm evil, because the bitch is tired. The bitch was tired and angry. So I think I don't think there's a problem with humanizing. Um, it's not. It's not. I don't think humanizing should make you feel sympathy for them to justify their actions, to justify it as right, but to justify it to understand how what led to this. Do you see what I'm saying? Not humanizing to say, oh yeah, it was right for you to do it. Because if I shot up the school, it would not have been right for me to do that. But understand how I got here so that it can be avoided. So we can do better things when we are when we are engaging with our children about bullies, when we are when we are teaching, um, training teachers and teaching our children how to engage with other children. Um, when we are engaging about queerness, when we are engaging with people, you have to look at the complete picture, the cause and effect. Yes, I absolutely agree. It's not just, oh, this person is evil. No, people don't just be evil. I don't think so. I don't think people just be evil. I think there can be some natural inclinations to be apathetic, like people who, there have been studies that, particularly white people, um, that there's a natural inclination for them not to have empathy. Um, I think that there's a level to that, just like anything, just like queerness, just like anything. I think there's a nature and nurture, not nature versus nurture. I think there's a nature and a nurture. I think the environment helps fuel it, and there could be a seed of nature, of natural inclination to not care about how you harm people. But I think the environment you in is what makes it grow into something uncontrollable and socially harmful. I got expelled in seventh grade for threatening to shoot my bullies. This was a year of Columbine, so they looked at it very seriously. Yes. The black guy with the braids in the series that killed Dahmer was fine. I haven't got to that part. I know that he got killed by somebody, but I haven't got to that part. I haven't got to the part. I'm on. I just finished episode 6 with the deaf guy. I haven't finished. I haven't got to that. But yeah, so far I am loving it. I'm just loving the nuance of them talking about the victims. I'm loving is her name Glinda? She is from Carthage, Mississippi. Glinda, the real person who plays Glinda, like the real person who Niecy Nash is playing. The real person is from Carthage. And the town, when I be talking about I lived in Mississippi, in the little rural town, I used to live in Walnut Grove, which is like 14 miles south of Carthage. And Tracy Edwards, the dude that got away and got Dahmer caught, Tracy Edwards, that is a very distant cousin of mine. Very distant, like not close cousin, but like six removed or something like that. Because he's from Mississippi too. Diamond, you relate to every fucking body. If they got some people in Mississippi, you know what's crazy? Um, if they got some people in Mississippi, both of my parents, both of my parents is their lineage lead black back to plantations on Mississippi, in Mississippi. Ain't that wild? Is he still alive? Hmm. Let me text my auntie. I don't think so. We were talking about it earlier. Hmm. And I come from a family that don't tell you about your other gay family. So like most of the older gay family members, we don't fucking learn about them till fucking we old, child. Like my gay cousin Felix, I didn't meet my gay cousin till I was fucking 20, 23, 24. When my aunt Thelma died in my great aunt Thelma died in Chicago. His mother. I heard about the girls that found the boy from um from 2020. There's a documentary on 2020 that interviews the real people, and I heard about her then. Shonette. I felt bad for the granny. She just wanted to live out her years in peace. You know who I live for? No, I'm gonna say who I live for, but whose ending that I was like, yes, is Jeffrey Dahmer's brother. Because y'all know he had a little brother. Jeffrey Dahmer's brother changed his name and never was seen again, baby. He said, y'all were not about to wear me out by this foolishness. The one that went with his mama, he changed his name and had some family and went on by his business. Had a full damn career. Yeah, that pissed me off too. He said, y'all is not about to connect me with my crazy brother. I'm about to change my name and get the fuck up out of here. And that's what he did. He got married, and his family said that he has a successful career doing his own thing. David Dahmer. Could you imagine? Exactly. I would be no. That joint has got to change. We got to be up out of here. I would change it so fast. I heard the meat sandwiches were true. There was something about them finding meat in when they were searching where he worked. Something about they finding some meat, some human remains back there. That's something I found in Paris. There was some story about this Paris butcher that was cutting up people. But yeah, overall, I love it. I love the humanity of it. I love the and Evan Peters. He is playing the role, baby. He is playing the role. Child, he wouldn't have got me because first of all, I don't do no alcohol. I'm not coming to nobody's house. That's just I hate coming to people's house. Um, and you got to give me my money up front. When old boy was like, "You need to give me now," the little Asian boy, Niecy Nash was fantastic. She killed it. Um, what do you think it smelled like? Well, I feel like it smelled like any kind of meat. Like if you ever had spoiled meat sitting somewhere, that shit stinks. And if it gets bad, like old and bad, I ain't never let it get old and bad. But like, if you go to a fucking a dumpster that ain't been dumped, it's bad. Ooh. So definitely, I'm not coming in this stinky ass house. He wouldn't have got me because I'm not fucking with no white boys. In the sense of coming to your house and doing all that. No, child, you being all weird and creepy. I think creepy white men. If you give me creepy, I feel like you high and I'm getting up out of there. Yeah, that is gay men normalize hookup culture and how dangerous it can be. It does that hookup culture can make you vulnerable. Um, it shouldn't be. It was sometimes Jeffrey was looking creepy, but it was sometimes he was looking cute. Like I thought when, like right before he killed the straight boy. Remember when him and the straight boy was working out right before he killed them? I thought he looked at handsome. I thought he looked at handsome there. I thought he looked at handsome when he had. So there's a time when he has a longer shag, and then there's a time when he has a little short, a shorter haircut. And I think he looks handsome with the shorter haircut. Evan Peters. I love the way they showcase the way this plays into the neighbors' lives, the families' lives, the lives of people who were investigated and covered the case. It's easy to forget that they were also victims. Yes. Like the idea of them kicking her out of her house while the investigation was going on. I was like, what? Well, what if I ain't got no money, ain't got nowhere to go? Get the fuck out of here. There's that. And then when her job was harassing her about her crying about it, like her being emotionally affected by it, her job, that white lady was coming up talking about they're seeing you crying and shit. No, there's some pictures that I've seen of Jeffrey that I felt like I could see him being cute. Not like Richard Ramirez. The Night Stalker, baby. The Night Stalker could have got some of this, baby. He was fine. The Night Stalker, He gave me all I needed. Richard Ramirez was fine. When he got them teeth fixed, ooh, that bone structure, them lips, that bone structure in them lips, Richard Ramirez was fine to me. And he was flirting with the people. He was flirting with the girls. He was fine. Who was not fine? Uh, his teeth was horrible. When before they got y'all know he got his teeth fixed. Him getting his teeth fixed is what got him caught. I'm just talking about his looks, y'all. Who was not cute to me was that motherfucking Ted Bundy. The way they was acting about him, he was, baby, if you don't get your ugly ass out of here, Ted Bundy was not cute, honey. Get out of here. He is a lame. He was, baby, Ted Bundy was not attractive. He looked so basic. So basic, baby. So basic. Like, girl, what? This is what y'all was living for? Yeah, Jeffrey wasn't ugly. Jeffrey wasn't ugly. I don't Jeffrey could have, he looked like a cute little white boy. He looked cute. I could see somebody seeing Jeffrey and being like, "Oh, he's cute." If he had a charming personality and a nice little when he get his haircut, that's when he was at the trial. So of course he was looking raggedy. But well, um gay men don't mind thin. Gay men hate fats. They say no fats, no film. Yeah. I don't think that that's ugly. I think if you put that in something cute, I don't think that's ugly. It ain't rocking socking. It ain't like, ooh. It ain't that. But I wouldn't be repulsed. Oh, and this when he was younger. Yeah, I can see, before he got, old and testosterone starting hitting him real hard. I can see it. Mm. Yeah, I can see, somebody could find anybody who, if you like white boys, I could see him being like, oh, he's cute. Luca Magnotta is Jeffrey's daughter. I don't know Luca Magnotta. I don't know who that is. Ted got at least one child out here running around somewhere. Yeah, he does. His daughter Rose. I think she changed her name too. And then I like nerdy boys. Like I like nerds and anime niggas. So what people say is weird might not have been read as weird to me. It might have been read as, oh, he's adorable. I would have been killed. I would have came to your house, but if you could kill me of my own, he probably would have got me. Y'all in these prison bays. Oh. Oh, okay. So we've been talking for an hour and 30 minutes. So that's my take on what my thoughts on Jeffrey Dahmer. It was a great series. If you have not watched it, go ahead and watch it. I know you hear a lot of everybody trying to be woke and turned it into a oh, we're centering a white man. Girl, get out of here. Get out of here. I think that this is out of every um take on Jeffrey Dahmer's story, dramatization of his story, this is the one that centered the most black people. That's why everybody is learning about the blackness of the story. But I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Another wild element of the story is that he had got charged with taking pictures of the brother and trying to drug him, and then the little brother he get the other little brother. I was like, what? That the privilege of white men. Oh God, it has no bounds because that's nothing but white privilege. Nothing but white privilege. Nothing but white privilege. All the things he got away with, you only can get. It's a couple of things. It's a couple of times in this past year. It's been many times in my life, but this past year where I was like, God, that couldn't be nothing but a white man. That one white man on that show we talked about a couple of days ago, the girl in the picture a couple of weeks ago, like a month ago, the girl in the picture, all that shit that he did, only a white man could get away with that. Nobody else. If it was a white woman, if it was a black man, if it was a black woman, nope. They be getting all kinds of leeway. How could you dismember somebody? I could kill if I had to, but hacking the body up, no man. I don't know. Have you ever cut up a whole chicken? I would think it would be like that. He was a butcher. And if you get to the point where you don't care about killing them, I'm pretty sure you can get to the point of not caring about cutting them up. I could only kill somebody out of anger. I have to be mad, mad. Like in the moment, mad. Yeah, it was the racial context of Dahmer didn't come to me until years later. The racial context of it. When we were younger, it was he was eating gay niggas. That for me, it was he was eating gay. He was eating gay niggas. It wasn't. I never knew that it was predominantly black and brown until I got older. Hey L. Oh, oh, oh. I am so, oh my God, I am so excited. I can't wait to get my paycheck. Oh, yeah. Ryan Murphy did a good job. Someone else made a film about him, and it didn't have that kind of impact. Mm-mm. He started drinking at 14. Ooh, well, that's when it gets weird. That's when it gets weird. That's when it gets weird. Mm. I like how they didn't over dramatize the gory parts like cannibalism. They really relied on the character to hold our attention and Ryan is usually gory. Yeah. I thought Ye I agree. I think this was handled more I don't wanna say tastefully, but that's for the lack of a better term. It was handled it I have it's a better term. It was handled with more finesse because one of the goriest parts, you remember when he was drinking that blood, that Capri Sun of blood? It wasn't a Capri Sun, but it was that packet of blood and he was drinking it. It wasn't like he was hacking up an arm, but it was still bloody, but it wasn't just blood from somebody. I thought it was handled with finesse. Blonde is so questionable. Blonde is such from a male gaze. Like it's no depth in blonde. Like it's beautiful. I was talking to Ty about it, and it is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And Mother is acting, baby. She's acting. But the plot and the storyline, it just gives me no nuance, no feminine nuance about it. Yeah. I was like, child. And then nobody talks about how Marilyn, was opening on her own production company. Nobody talked about how once she started getting coins, she started to her business savvy. Yeah, honey, I fucked my way to the top, but once I got to the top, I started being more savvy. And nobody talks about that with care. It's always, oh, I'm just being tossed around by the men. Nobody is talking about it in a way that some of these things were strategic for her. Like this, I'm playing this character. Like even in that in Blind, they're making it seem like it's this demon that takes over instead of it being I am playing a character to come up. I am playing a character to um I am Paris Hilton before Paris Hilton. Like Paris Hilton's character is so iconic that people don't even know that that is not Paris Hilton. She's so dedicated to it that people don't know that that's not really her. That rich blonde bimbo personality. No. Yeah, I didn't like it. It just didn't do it for me. It didn't do it for me, but it was beautiful. Miss Thing was gorgeous. She was acting. The part that really let me know that this there was moments of brilliance in it. Like when she was giving her all to that part and the dudes she was auditioning for just really couldn't see how this bitch was acting because they were too busy looking at how pretty she was and too busy fantasizing about her. Even the dude watched her walk out and was like, "Oh, look at the ass on her." But they didn't get this bitch is acting. Like she is acting, motherfucker. And you are so engulfed in her beauty that you're not seeing her skill, and everybody around her is playing down her skill because oh, she's just a blonde pretty bimbo. I love that. I love that scene. Love that scene. um I thought it was so weird and unnecessary for us to be in her vagina. That was like the most weirdest unnecessary thing about the movie. We were literally in um Marilyn Monroe's vagina. That is so weird. That like who who decided that that was a thing? That was so weird. I think in this era around Roe versus Wade, I think the baby talking and the conversation that the baby was having, I just felt like it was so irresponsible. I felt it just was it just felt like it was from a male gaze. It felt like there was nothing, and they said, "Oh, this is based on the novel from that woman," but I can tell that this is y'all either I didn't read the book, but I can tell that either you are a man interpreting the book. Yes, but child, this is nothing but dude stuff. Yeah, I love that scene too. I did love that scene when she was walking down the red carpet and her and the dude, her husband was next to her. Yeah, I did love that scene. I love the relationship between the thruple with her and the gay boys. I thought that that was an interesting story, definitely from a male gaze, but weird, 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 weird. How are y'all liking Game of Thrones? How are y'all liking Ring of Power? Are y'all watching those things? How are y'all liking Handmaid's Tale? It is back on. I freaking love it. I am not living for Ring of Power. I am living for House of Dragon, Game of Thrones. I keep calling it Game of Thrones. House of Dragon, and I am living for Handmaid's Tale, baby. They're giving me exactly what I need. They are giving me exactly what I need. House of Dragons and Handmaid's Tale. Um, what? I barely started Handmaid's Tale last week. Ooh, love it. They're doing exactly what you asked for. Mm-hmm. 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 Ring of Power is boring my soul. Yes, but I'm gonna keep watching just because I always the Lord of the Rings is always a slow burn. So I'm waiting for that. You know, House of Dragon, they were turning up from the beginning, baby. I hate Lena died. Yeah, that was like damn. But I can understand she ain't about to go out like Rhaenyra. She ain't about to go out like Rhaenyra. I'm out Emma, Queen Emma, her mama. Um, yeah, it's so complicated. I love it. I like the younger actors better in the House of Dragon. Damn, you just saw the older actors. they just came out this week. How you know? Damn, you ain't even giving them a chance. I do like them too, but that's because we've seen them for multiple episodes. Next episode is supposed to be crazy. I want to see Valerian. Who is that? I want to see. I don't know. I'm an underdog. I'm always going to be rooting for Valerian, the black with the dreads. The daddy. Is he old now? The dragon that Argon rode. Hmm. Are you into Riri for the Super Bowl? Hmm. Um. Well, so who do I want to see? I'm always gonna go for the underdog. So I like. I'm liking Allison. People are not liking her, but I'm liking her character. I'm liking Allison. The one that Dracarys Lena. Didn't Lena say she has the biggest dragon? Is it another big dragon that's coming? Because Lena said she had the biggest dragon, right? Oh, I thought she said she had the biggest dragon. Child, I don't know the dragon's name, child. Y'all be knowing the dragon's name. I don't be knowing the dragon's name. I don't know him like that. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Okay, so Balerion was the biggest dragon before he died, but now it's Vagar. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I don't be knowing the dragon name. When I watch Game of Thrones, I say the red dragon, the red one, the green one, and the yellow one. Like I know Rhaenyra's her dragon is yellow, the gold dragon, and I know Damon's dragon is red. I want to see, as far as Handmaid's Tale, uh, June is not getting crazy enough for me. There ain't no way this bitch is sitting in your face and you got a gun and you ain't blowing that hole away. I don't know. I needed. I don't know. I needed. I needed her to wear. I needed. I needed her to put more fear in Serena. I need her to put more. Serena is being too tough and talking too tough for me. I just killed your husband. I set it up to kill your husband. And you should be scared. And Serena is acting like she's not scared. She's doing too much. This bitch brought her daughter in the parade because she knew she would see her. Serena's being too tough for me. You got a pistol whoop. You might not got to kill her, but you got a pistol whooper or something. Let her know, bitch, I ain't to be played with. She ain't doing enough for me. So she's acting crazy, but she's not doing crazy. Aunt Lydia, I think they're trying to give us a redemptive arc for Aunt Lydia. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. But I think the person to get her together has to be Janine. Janine is the only one that makes sense because I think Janine is the one that is in her heart, the closest one to that's in her emotional space. So I want Lydia, to me, what would be the most powerful thing to do with Lydia is her and Janine help June dismantle the commanders from the inside. I want Aunt Lydia to become a part of Mayday. If I don't, part of me don't want a redemptive arc. I want to see that bitch raped, but that's evil. But if there's a redemptive arc for Aunt Lydia, I want her to be a part of Mayday. I want her to set up the commanders and get them all got. Blow them up or something. Because if you remember, there was a scene that planted the seed of that for me. If you remember when Lydia was in front of the commanders and they were trying to make it seem like it was her fault for them, going crazy and getting gone and letting June get away with what she got away with, blah, blah, blah. They were trying to blame it on Aunt Lydia. And she was like, and she was standing there and she was like, and she had to read them in her way. Like, y'all are the motherfuckers who fought it is. She needs to die defending Gilead. I don't know. How we gonna get them? Like, I just don't see how we would be able to get them. She's already in cahoots with Commander Lawrence. You got to use Lydia to get in there to get them because you can't use Serena. June is too high profile. As soon as June come back to motherfucking Gilead, they on the wall, bitch. You right there. On the wall. Yeah. I don't know. It has to be Lydia. I can't think of anybody else. Esther too out of control. Esther done tried to poison herself and fucking Lydia and fucking Janine. She's a wild card because she's that little, she done been harmed too much. She liked Janine when she was younger, before they broke her. She liked Emily. She would definitely be a double agent. But I think for Janine, there's something about Janine that that aligns with her goodness. Because she's, when they always say, villains always think that they're doing the right thing. And I think Lydia thinks she's doing the right thing. But I think that it's something about Janine. I think she believes that she's saving the girls. I think that this is her way. This it may be a little toxic, but she's heavy handed. And so this is her way to save the girls. And Janine is the one. She's that one that she cares the most about. When Janine joked about them taking her other eye, I screamed. Janine was keeping it real with that bitch. She's like, "What you gonna do? Take my other eye? The fuck are you talking about?" Nick out the game. Yeah, I feel like Nick is getting too. Like, I feel like I don't understand how they don't know Nick is the one that's kind of helping June and shit. It's getting kind of obvious to me. And why they give Nick his little crippled wife? That was interesting. Janine don't play with Lydia no more. She run her. Yeah, I think Janine has gotten into her Lydia's mommy daughter guilt, that motherly guilt with Janine. And June ain't involved for her to blame everything on June no more. Because Lydia was blaming on her June's influence on Janine, but these things that's happening, June ain't nowhere near around. So, but yeah, I'm excited to see where they're gonna go. Excited to see what toxic feminist icon, toxic white feminist icon, Serena Joy. Yeah, I think acting crazy and doing crazy is like there ain't no way that I got people to stop your car. I got a gun. She is too many times. And Serena's too tough. She's being too tough. I want to know you scared, bitch. See how she was talking to what's June's boyfriend name? You see how she was being tough with that boyfriend? I didn't like all that. It's like she ain't got no fear of her. Like, oh, like it's like you saying you know I could do something, but you don't really think I can do something. So you need to touch her and find out. Shoot that bitch in the leg. Mm. Well, all right, y'all. It's been 2 hours, and I need to. My hair looks like shit. I need to dye my hair. My roots is growing in, and I've been orange, and I need to be red. I need it to be red for the banquet. So I will talk to y'all. Before I say next week, let me do what's going on next week. Oh yeah, I'll be here. I'll be here. Yeah, so I'll see y'all next week at 7, darlings. Um, Make sure y'all thumbs up. I see 30 people and only 28 thumbs up. Yeah. So I will put the link to the Eventbrite for the movie again. So y'all can go check it out. Um, the movie is about. It's basically a conversation between cisgender black men, assumed cishet black men, and trans black women talking about anti-trans violence and the clash between those two groups. And it is powerful. It is good. I did a panel in Atlanta on Monday at the Out on Film Festival. This is the first time that it was shown, and oh my God, the crowd was amazing. If you follow A Call to Men, who produced it on Instagram, they are playing different clips of people talking about seeing it. Um, on Instagram, the organization name is A Call to Men. It's like, I think their logo is like orange. Um, and it is so good. So if there's a way for you to check it out, we are organizing and fundraising to do a tour. So if we're in your area, come through, see your girl. Um, yeah. So all right, I will talk to y'all later. Oh, another thing. I know I got all kinds of stuff. um, if I can find it. I guess I have to do this later. Mm, mm. I'll try. I don't know where it's at. I guess I'll talk about it later. But yes, I will see y'all next week. Bye bye.